Anyway, one more little brief update. This is from Jose, who doesn't give a hometown or location either. Oh, I'm sorry. It's the Jose was on the email address. He says, "Hello, Jim and the great Brian Last. My name is Joe, and I'm from L.A."
Hello, Joe, formerly known as Jose from L.A.
But now, is that Louisiana? Because it's L.A. in capitals, or is it Los Angeles? The home to many outlaw wrestlers, he says. That could go either way. I'm writing to you because recently you were talking about why they don't bring back classic names like Gladys and Ethel. And see, this caught my eye right away because we had this conversation. It's on the YouTube channel, so we did it some time back. But I've mentioned this a couple of times. The good old-fashioned American names are going by the wayside, like when my Aunt Lola and my mother, which we'll talk about a second here. But old Jose, a.k.a. Joe, has written here a list. It says a list analyzed from the Social Security Baby Names Registry showed that the top 10 names listed below have gone the way of the dinosaur, and they're not being used anymore. Would you like to hear the top 10 list of names that are not being used anymore according to the Social Security Baby Name Registry and Joe from L.A.?
Is this just female names or any names?
Well, there are both on the list, but as you will see, one dominates. One gender dominates.
Like the one I'm curious about is, does anyone name their child Seymour anymore?
Seymour anymore?
Well, Seymour.
Yeah, I actually, he was a guy who used to work for my accountant. Seymour anymore. Then he transferred over. He was trying to get into pre-law.
When was the last time you met someone named Seymour?
You know what? It's been a while. And see, this is something that maybe we're going to have the cult do more research. But let me get to Joe's list. So you'll see what's going to happen here. Number 10, Pauline. Pauline is gone. No more Pauline. Okay. I can see you're all broken up about it.
I like Pauline Black from The Selector, but okay, let's see who else is on the list.
Yeah, down here in Kentucky, there was a very famous, she wrote a book in the early 70s about her days in the madaming business. She ran a house of ill repute. Her name was Pauline Tabor. And this was all during like the 30s, 40s, 50s or whatever. And she spilled the beans on many of I think it was down in Bowling Green. Spilled the beans on many of the officials and politicians and various high muckety mucks that used to come and visit her girls.
What'd you think of the Paula chant for Paul Orndorff?
Oh, that was brilliant. That was brilliant. Who started that?
Oh, I'm not sure. That's a good question.
He was in a program with, was it? Oh, God damn it. I don't even want to say now because I'll be wrong, but whoever he was in a program with got that guy, and he milked that like a prize cow. Anyway, number 9. You would never think this. Marjorie. Nobody wants to be named Marjorie anymore.
Marge, for short.
Well, now sometimes it could just be Marge. It didn't have to be Marjorie.
Is that true? Are there people just named Marge? Like that's their actual name that's not short for Marjorie?
Well, yeah, it is. That's true.
All
or
right.
as you know.
Marge Shot, Large Marge. I'm trying to think of other Marges.
Large Marge, she was in charge. But here now, we're getting to number 8, and I'm pissed about this. Thelma. My mother's name was Thelma. Mama Cornette, that was her name. They're not using it anymore. They probably retired it in her honor.
Are you surprised about that, considering how popular Thelma and Louise was, that wouldn't have... Because usually when there's like a big thing in pop culture, it causes people to start naming their kids like after Game of Thrones characters and stuff. Are you surprised that Thelma went that way?
Well, how long's it been since Thelma and Louise went over the cliff?
That was in the early 90s.
Well, see, 30 years.
Yeah.
All those Thelmas are grandmothers now. Number 7. Ralph. The only, I'll tip you off, the only male name on this list is Ralph.
Wow, that's interesting.
But apparently, that's another of Jericho's ideas, that people just say, well, we won't even fucking call children anything close to this guy anymore. It's been 30 years there, too. People still remember it.
You talking about Ralphus?
Ralphus. See, another guy Jericho is going to make a big star.
Well, Jericho, I mean, to give Jericho credit, Jericho got Ralphus really over, and it's probably the smartest thing he did was not taking Ralphus with him to WWE.
Oh, good Lord.
Because there were people that wanted that. Do you remember? There were fans upset that he did not have Ralphus with him when he went to WWE.
It was just a rib. He saw this ludicrous-looking human being on the ring crew and said, I've got to get this fucking face on television. No, I'm just fucking with. That was actually a good thing. But not that he would take him to the W. Anyway, number 6, mentioned it before, Ethel. No more Ethel. Ethel Barrymore, right? A classic name of the American theater.
Ethel Kennedy.
More. Ethel Kennedy. Number 5, along those same lines, Edna. No more Ednas. It's been over 100 years since Edna Purviance was the darling of the silent screen.
I wonder about Ed. I wonder, for the male version, if Ed is still used. Well, certainly not as much as it once was, but
well,
you think it is?
But you got Edward, you got Eddie, you got Ted. You got all kinds of variations. Plus, it's Edward. It's a fucking king from England and a saint too, isn't it? So you got all those people going for you. Number 4, Gladys. Are you glad about Gladys?
I'm not surprised.
Well, now Gladys. I mean, come on, Gladys Kravitz. The next door neighbor to the Stevenses on Bewitched. She was a fine young lady that you would want to name your children after.
Gladys Knight, a big star, still out there today, still active. I don't know where the Pips are, but again, I'm not surprised.
She's still, they're on the midnight train to Georgia, but they're in coach. She's in first class.
I'm not surprised that name is not really being used as much. I don't think it's as bad as some of the other ones like Ethel or Edna.
Now you're insulting a certain segment of the listenership. I want all the Ethels and Ednas that are listening today to write in and try to get Brian Last canceled.
I don't need any more death threats. Come on, Edna and everyone else, leave me alone.
Number 3, big surprise here, Doris.
You're surprised by that?
Doris Day, que sera, sera. I guess what will be, will be. Doris has been canceled.
That's what they say about it. Que sera, sera.
And number 2, who we were just talking about, the Archies, Betty. How can Betty, not the classic all-American blonde high school girl's name? Well, there's good old Betty. No more. I can see you're broke up about that as well. And the number 1 name that will on this list that will never be referred to again, Mildred. No more Mildred. Mildred Burke will be a forgotten name in the world.
Well, who else? It won't be a forgotten name, but people won't be named after her.
Well, see, there won't be people to carry her name on. I understand that Burke is going to be outlawed also.
See, Mildred you could shorten to Millie. And I only know that because Mike Lano once put out an article where he referred to Mildred Burke as Millie Burke, and I thought it was the funniest thing in the world.
Millie Burke. Millie Burke, baby. If Millie Burke had only married Willie Apter. No more Mildred. And you know what is not on the list, and I still have high hopes for, one of my first grade teachers' first names, Myrtle. Myrtle was not on this list. Maybe Myrtle can make a comeback.
No way. Unless there's a TV show with a very popular Myrtle, there's no way.
A very popular, well, maybe Crepe Myrtle will make a comeback.